By the way, I would never tell someone their work was a piece of shit because it took time and effort to do it. Whether it wasn't good or not, you don't say it was a piece of shit. You don't demoralize a person that way. Es una mierda. And I go, why? Porque no está bien, porque no luce bien, porque no luce bien. And I go, you're not giving me an answer.
Give me feedback.
Yeah,
give me feedback.
Give me a
Why is
concrete answer. You shouldn't be editing like this. You shouldn't do a dissolve here. You can't put this soundbite here and then have the same soundbite on this face. Which, by the way, all those rules that I had,
Went
they've
out the
gone to
window.
shit.
Yeah.
And now they do
Jump cuts
everything.
are great.
Jump cuts are the best thing.
Crossing the axis, that doesn't exist. What's an
Cross-
axis?
Oh, I love your mug.
She loves our.
She loves her mug.
I love
That's
your
what
mug.
counts.
Yes.
Yes.
So
Coffee,
Mine is-
coffee.
and you don't drink coffee.
I don't. I drink tea. Because if I drank coffee, I'd be bouncing the walls.
With all the little cafecito times in all your career, you didn't drink coffee, or
No, in our NOC meetings that we had executives, Martica, if you remember Martica, would come in and serve coffee. And I would not drink coffee.
Wow, I didn't know that.
I know.
Yeah.
Well, but now let's introduce our guest.
Uh,
This lady has been in the forefront of many, many successful TV shows, from developing Primer Impacto, Nuestra Belleza Latina, and many shows along the way. Thank you for saying yes.
no.
Toast
Cheers.
to our
Cheers.
Ching.
My cup is boring next to yours.
Yeah,
So is mine.
I have another one that has my son's picture, but then I don't want to embarrass him.
Oh, you should have brought
When he
that
was 10 in soccer.
one. There you go. There you go.
well, Carlos, we have been debating because we argue over everything, like good creatives,
Yeah.
over the name of the show. I know it was Storytellers, so we decided to have cafecito break. You as a developer, yay or nay?
No, I
Be,
like
be
it.
honest, it's okay. We can change it for the fourth show because
Yeah.
we changed the graphic for every single show.
No, I like it. I would probably, I think storytellers and cafecitos are kind of
far apart?
too far apart. So,
So originally it was Storytellers, but then we realized it's too generic.
Generic.
it is.
And we wanted it to be more us. So without realizing it, the first show we toasted a cafecito, and we didn't. They said, "Hey, cafecito." We'll add that to the name, and that way it'll be cafecito break. And then the other stuff in the open, that was the other argument. There's a lot of like cameras and stuff which has been toned down now. But at the beginning, I was like, it's not all about cameras. It's about storytellers.
It's about the content.
It's about the content itself. We're gonna have experts.
You know what the great title? You just said it. It's all about the story.
There you go. Next episode.
Now we gotta change the story again.
It's all about the story.
It's all about the story.
By the way, some of the titles that I've come up with have been very kind of in conversation and brainstorming and tossing words. And what clicks in my head, the first click, like when we came up with Primer Impacto, I had to change the title from Noticia y Más to Primer Impacto because they didn't like Noticia y Más. I didn't like it either, but that's the title we came up with really fast. And sometimes you have to change the title till you start developing the content. And we had a staff meeting. I had a staff meeting because I'm all about brainstorming. And brainstorming really kind of sets the mood for what you're going to do. No man is an island. You know what I'm saying? I can produce Primer Impacto, but I always had a team with me. I have the vision and I have the concept, but I need to put the salt and pepper and create because it gives more spice to the show. And so I had this team of people, and Lourdes Ruiz Toledo, I don't know if you remember. She was my producer at the beginning. And she starts saying impacto. She goes, these are stories que dan impacto. And I go, I like that. I like impacto. And then they start throwing out more ideas. And the more I said, no, I still like impacto. I still like impacto, but I don't like impacto by itself. Why don't we call it primer impacto? Well, but that's redundant. No, because puede tener un segundo impacto, puede tener un tercer impacto. No, that's not redundant. That's not redundant. But primer impacto, you want it, because I always said primer impacto, the difference to news, and I was a news producer, was that you want to get their attention at the second. when I was in school, now it's probably a lot less. They said the attention span of the audience was 25 seconds.
Now it's like 3.
That's 3.
Yeah, probably. But I can tell you from my own experience, if you don't get me the first few seconds, I start changing the channel. I own the remote control. But anyway, so they kept saying, no, but Primer Impacto. And I had to sell the title of Primer Impacto, but we were able to convince my bosses for Primer Impacto.
So you've created a variety of different shows. Sometimes you've been the leader, sometimes you've just been part of the team. When you're given a project and in all your years of experience to produce, or it's one of your own, what is it that tells you this is going to work? This idea, this concept is going to work? Because at the end of the day, you don't know till it's out there if it worked.
Look, I say that I'm not the smartest woman in the world. I am very clear on that, but I am very astute to my instincts. And I grew up watching TV. I grew up in the 60s. When my parents had to work, I had a brother and sister who were not paying attention to me. And so I had a black and white TV, and I grew up watching TV, watching the news, watching shows, and I was fascinated by the shows. And so I always say, when they give me a concept, if I can visualize that concept with something that I've seen in the past or whatever, it works. If I can't visualize it, it doesn't work. That's how I see it. And for me, everybody has different ways of gravitating towards successful projects or whatever. To me, I hear a show, like the last show that I worked on was Desiguales. And they wanted a show to compete with the competitor, which was La Mesa Caliente, whatever. And it was like The View. It was a rehash of The View, whatever. And I looked at that show, and I personally didn't like La Mesa Caliente. Not that they weren't doing a good job, but to my taste, it wasn't because it was a glorified Gordo la Flaca. It was they were talking about entertainment, and that really wasn't La Mesa Caliente, right? And so I said, if we really want to do that format, I think that to do it, I envision different generations. And I even said, look, there's a Gen X, a baby boomers, a this. I started thinking about all these generational, because that's what we hear all the time. What's the new generation now? Is it the
Z?
Gen
I
Z,
think
Gen
it's
Z,
yeah.
Gen X?
And we ran out of letters now, so we're going to go back to A or double Z's?
I don't know, because I surround myself with young people to tell me all these things, and then I absorb what they tell me. Before they would get what I tell them. Now I get what they tell me, and I give them the experience to be able to do their projects well done and without making too many mistakes. I already made the mistake. So anyway, so that's how I envisioned Desiguales. And we had to do the castings. And, there was a discrepancy. They kept saying, no, because we want this one, we want this one, we want this. And they kept saying, these people you see them all the time on the shows. Let's get fresh faces. Let's do generational. And I had to push and push and push. And thankfully, my boss at the time listened to me.
Let you do it.
Let me do it. And I overrode the other 3 people that were against me. And we were able to get the team we got. We had a 77-year-old woman, Dr. Nancy, who had not been on TV for a while, but has a loyal following. And by the way, you can't do any television show that you don't have an influencer in some way or another.
Yes.
You have to have that, because it pulls in an audience. It gives you a natural audience, a head start. You're not starting from nothing. We had Adamari Lopez. Huge following. It doesn't mean ratings, but it gives you an audience. It gives you a base. Then we had Karina Banda, who's the journalist. We had the actress, 50-something, the journalist in her 30s, married. And then we had Mick Bailey's, the beauty queen, a Gen Z or Gen Y, I don't know which one she is. And then the last one was Amara, who was in her 30s. But I said, and not because of the whole DEI, because I hate the stupidity of DEI.
No, but she did. She added to the show.
She added what I loved about Amara. She was in her 30s, but she was a single mom, whereas Karina, in her 30s, was married, but was
No
not a
kids.
mom, and was a journalist. And Amara was like de la calle, she was like
was
la
raw.
raza.
Yeah, she's-
When they say la raza, no, she was el pueblo, And I had worked with her in another project, and she goes, "Mama, you need to see more people like of my color on Univision, because I don't see enough people." And I go, "By the way, I put Tony de Andrades, I put en Primer Impacto, I put the news anchor de Univision, ay, se me ha ido el nombre de ella.
Ilia.
Ilia Calderón from Telemundo. I brought her over. So, and it had
Yeah.
nothing to
It has
do with
nothing to do with that.
DEI. It
No,
had
it has to
nothing
do with
to
talent.
talent.
It
It has
had
to
to do with the talent, and that to
And
me,
it
a
fits the-
visual.
yeah.
I like
she's
her
beautiful.
visual, and
She's beautiful.
She's
Yo
actually
digo que es
stunning.
una amazona. She's an
She's-
Amazon of
yeah,
a
she's
woman.
a woman.
Because I'm 5'1", and now I'm skinnier after menopause. I'm a little skinnier, but she was like this woman, and I'm like, I was like in awe of her. And Amara's the same thing. Amara is this mama woman,
Yeah.
strong. But by the way, inside, she's a pussycat. Ella pone she puts
A
on
lot of
this
people are like
face,
that, yeah.
but she's like a sweetheart. And she was the last one to come in. And luckily, the executives, my bosses, said, okay, because we were only going to have 4 people. And we put her in 5th, and they go, we have to put her. And to the executive producer's credit, he also pushed for her to be on the show. So we got that perfect chemistry there with the show, and that's what it's all about. It's about brainstorming. It's about getting that instant when you hear something. If you don't visualize it, it doesn't work for me.
Have you ever worked on a project that you thought was going to be a hit? There was a great idea, but it ended up not being. And then also, maybe you had a project that you're working on that you're like, and it ended up being a hit. Did that ever happen or anything you worked on?
Well, in Enamorándonos, which was the last project I did, I will tell you, all the projects that I didn't visualize, that I couldn't visualize, I was always scared of. And I never liked it. And I've had to work in these projects as an executive for the networks to supervise the production.
Right.
And I've said, look, I don't see this happening. I don't see this happening. And they said, yes, 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 because the network was all gung-ho on the show. And it was a major flop. It was a major flop. Because
So
if
your
I
instincts were right.
my instincts were right, because I couldn't visualize it. And that was a Spanish production. And every time they would come in, and we're going to do this, and we're going to do this, and we're going to have this camera, this spider, and it's going to go up and down. And I'm sorry,
It's okay.
and we're going to move the spider. And that spider was getting me dizzy every time they moved that spider. And I go, can we keep it still for a little while? Because I'm
Maria.
getting dizzy. And it was the worst show in the history of Telemundo.
Really.
Unfortunately, yeah. And I hate to say I was part of it. I hate to say I told you so, but I was part of it, and I did say. But Enamorándonos was one show that they brought me in as a consultant, and I will tell you, I thought the concept was interesting, but I was having a hard time visualizing it. And it kind of the producers were from Turkey, and it had been very successful in Turkey. But I couldn't visualize it because it was so different to what I was used to in the United States. And I remember the weeks and months before, I kept saying, oh my God, I'm scared of this show. I'm scared of this show. Because she would say, we want to see the cameras, and I would say it's a 360 state, but we're actually going to see the cameras. To me,
No,
seeing the
that
cameras is a big no-no. We're going to see the camera, but why don't we just do it like this, and why don't we do it like that, and we could do this? No. She was stubborn. I would say la turca es terca. She's stubborn. These Turkish producers are stubborn. They're stubborn.
And I also think that maybe different cultures have different likes.
Yeah,
I don't think at the same.
but
the
it was
same
very
project.
successful.
Right, but it was successful here.
It was very successful here. It was let's put it this way, Unimas barely had a rating. And this 10 times the rating. It increased it in the first year. They had wanted like 300 and something number, and the main network doesn't get that nowadays. And we're talking about 2019. which they were still like they were borderline there again, but now they don't even get that. And I said, I don't know about that high, but we probably can do high. But let's see. So we started practicing, and I said we need to do rehearsals, and they said, no, we're fine. And they go, oh my God. I was so nervous. And then the thing was, in the age of standards and practice, that this was going to go live. And I go, oh my God, we don't know what these 24 people that are sitting there are going to say. This is not taped. And then I suggested, literally 2 weeks prior, we had a saving grace because there was a hurricane that was going to come. This was starting September. A hurricane was coming, so we had to delay the launch by a week. And it's not the first time a hurricane has gotten in my way of a launch. But anyway, this saved us. And I said, let's rehearse and let's rehearse. And that's where I was getting nervous, because in the rehearsals, it was like a disaster. And it was like, oh my God. Because what happens is the Turkish team had in their mind how they did it in Turkey. And the American team had the idea like I did it. You had directors, TDs that were just, and we had to practice and practice and practice. And I go, listen, it might not launch the way it needs to launch, but we will get there if we just keep practicing.
going.
And I did convince them to record the show an hour earlier, or 2 hours earlier. So the show would air at 7 o'clock at the beginning, and we would start at 5. And then what I would wind up doing is, as they would say something, I'd go up to the edit bay, and I'd be the one editing. There were editors. But at first, they didn't have that. And they said, no, but this is live, whatever. No, but let's clean it. We can clean it up a little bit. Let's clean it up. So I don't like messy productions. I'm very anal in that sense. I see cables. Oh, it drives me crazy. Here you have to see cables because we're seeing cameras. But we got very successful, and I was very happy. So I have 2 examples of that I didn't visualize it. One worked, one was a total flop. But if I would not get into it if I didn't see it. Like Retro Belleza Latina, they gave me a format, and I kept looking and go, I can't see it. This doesn't make sense. To me, I'm a logical person. I'm a logical producer. When you do a rundown, one thing has to lead to the other, to the other, to the other, to the other, until you get to your conclusion. That's how my thinking is. That's a type of, it's a storytelling. When I was at the university, the storytelling for me was coming to a complete circle. There's different formats. There's triangle, circle, whatever. To me, that was my format. I would start with the premise, build up the story, till I got to the end. And then it all concluded. You had an ending. You had why this started this way and what led to it. That's my style. Everybody has a different style, right? For Enamorándonos, to me, it was like I didn't understand the format. And so until I understand that format, I can't continue. So in Nuestra Belleza Latina, I couldn't understand the format either. And I said, okay, I can't understand this. I've been tasked to develop this reality show. I got a team of my 3 closest people working with me. We sat down and we didn't leave my office for a week.
We figure it out.
10 hours a day, 12, sometimes 14 hours. We'd order lunch, we'd sit there and we'd laugh, we'd have a board, we'd start. And everything for me is on a board to this day. I have a board in my house, and my husband made me put it in the laundry room, but I have a board in my house. I have to visualize what I'm going to do in the week.
So how has your approach changed when you're creating content from when you started to now? And is there a difference between a live show and something that's taped and
big
produced?
Difference.
How do you approach it differently?
Well, I haven't changed my style. I've just tried to perfect it. When you have a style, and you just need to try to always perfect it and be objective and say, this didn't do well. When I've done different shows, throughout the shows, I've learned from each show what worked and what didn't work, whether it was successful or not, what worked and what didn't work. And you take that on to the next project. So you always have to learn something from everything you do. And it just happens automatic. Would I do something? Am I doing something different now?
Compared to when you started?
No, I just find what I do is I depend more now on my younger generation. I try to surround myself with young producers that teach me something and keep me
Fresh.
fresh and like I visualize I want to do something and I'm always on I'm like 9 hours a day on on my phone. My husband hates it. I'm on TV and I'm on the phone and the TV and he goes, "Are you watching this?" Of course I'm watching. Of course.
wife does the
I
same
can
thing.
I can hear
I
and
do too.
watch. I can hear and watch. And when something really gets my attention, I'm there.
You put down the phone for
I
like
put
10
down
seconds.
the phone, but hey, that's why I answer you guys, and I'm always answering. So to me, I surround myself with younger generation. I don't perceive to know it all. I just know what I know from my experience, and I try to pass that on to the younger generation, like my son and younger. And I get along with the young producers. I think I've always been a teacher at heart, even though I've never wanted to be a teacher. I've always been a teacher at heart because everyone I've had interns. You've interviewed some of my interns in the past. I've interns that have been executives, have been anchors, have been producers, are very successful nowadays, and they've learned, and they always say, "Oh, I learned from Maria. Plan A, Plan B, Plan Z. Like you always have 10 plans of action." The difference in working live to working taped is in live, you have to have those plan of actions on the go.
Solid.
Because when something goes wrong, which live, anything can go wrong,
Live
you have
shut
to immediately
down.
say,
Plan B.
Plan B, we're going to do this, this, and this. But if you have to start thinking, you're losing too much time. And TV, as we all know, is seconds.
Yeah.
It's not even minutes, it's seconds. Minutes is like an eternity. Every time I was having a contraction and they said it's 90 seconds, and I go, God, 90 seconds is a bad package.
Exactly. That's
When they told me, oh, it's really fast, it's 90 seconds. 90 seconds is a horrible story, it's eternity.
no. You switch.
Yeah.
Channels.
Yeah,
You switch.
exactly. Yeah, but I have ADD, I think. So,
We
We all do.
We all do.
yeah.
So you admit to being one that scrolls a lot. So what lessons do you learn from watching short form content?
Content.
Content, yes. Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Compared to television where it's 30, 40, 60-minute content. Like how do you get people to lock in the first few seconds?
because-
What works? What do you think works compared to like longer format?
Look, if you have to be creative, if you're going to just do what everybody else is doing, you're going to my attention span, like I said, I have a little bit of ADD. I've never been diagnosed, nor do I take medication for it.
Self-diagnosed.
Self-diagnosed, but I can tell that if it doesn't get my attention, it has to draw me in. And it doesn't have to be just visual. It has to be how the story is being told. How do you get to that story? So to me, sometimes it's just the music. If I hear something and it's intriguing, I say, "What this book? This is something suspenseful. This is something. This is a." In Enamorándonos, I would tell them for the opening, I would say, "Why don't you just do something like?" They did it sometimes. They wouldn't do it other times. Show a couple that had been the night before and kind of show them in their mix of their element of what's happening, because that's the first thing you want to see. Like, so you have the anchor saying, today a lot is going on, and you put a little bit of collage of those. There's nothing like a good teaser, and that good teaser can last 15 seconds, like it can last 45 seconds. But a good teaser with good music, good editing,
It's better.
grabs them.
It's more important than the show, really.
Yeah, I'm telling you, in another life, I think I was an editor. No, really, because to me, that's
No, yeah, it's
that's part of the
music to me,
storytelling.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
every story, if you don't hook people from the beginning, sometimes it's
Yeah.
music, the best visuals, create that intrigue.
But you
like
can have
mentioned.
wonderful visuals, but if you don't edit
If
it
you don't,
good,
yeah, you don't edit it.
if you don't not
The
if you
same
don't
story-
take if you don't grab the best elements, those moments of video that could be for somebody else nothing, for me it tells a story. I go, that's the moment. That's the moment. And like in everything, I have that instinct that I see something and I go, that's the moment. Like, Juan Gabriel, that interview where he says, lo que se ve no se pregunta, or lo que se ve no se pregunta. That was it. I was a producer in that. I went physically because the host who had done another interview before had really kind of lost it. The interview was a dud. It could have been much better. And I said, no, no, I'm going to this interview and I'm going to prep you and you're going to do everything I say. This is how we're going to, and if he says this, you're going to answer this. If he says that, you're going to answer this. And at the very end, you're going to ask the question, the very, very end, you're going to ask, well, is Juan Gabriel gay?
Ooh.
And I remember he said it differently, but as we were doing the interview, I felt his hand starting to shake, my reporter's hand.
Like, he
He's
was
getting
coming.
close to the question.
He's like,
The-
oh, no.
the plan was saying-
Can we add more questions in between?
And then I would say, as we changed tapes, this was before digital, change tapes, I would go up to him and say, remember, like I'd remind him, remember that at this point, and he would say, Señorita, he knows what he's doing. He knows what he's doing. No, I know, I'm just kind of reminding. Yeah. He knows what he's doing. Like he was basically telling me, butt out. At the end, he says the question, well, there's been magazines that show, like he kept going around.
He didn't want to do the question the way you
He didn't want to
told
do
him.
the question. He kept saying, there's a magazine that came out that you're with pictures and this and that and this. And he goes, what is it that you want? And he goes, and everybody wants to know, no. What is it that you want to know? He tells him,
Juan
what
Gabriel
is it
tell
that
him.
you want to know?
He's like, stop beating around the bush. Just
What
say
is
it.
it you want to know? And he goes, bueno, si eres gay or something. He says, si eres gay. And he goes, lo que se ve no se pregunta. And I go, we got it.
Yeah, that's it.
It was 2:00 in the morning. And I called the promotions department and I called them up at 2:00 in the morning. We got because we weren't sure we were going to, at 10:00 at night, he still didn't show up.
Oh.
And I said, we got it. And I said, and I have the
Your opening
promo. I'm
sound
going to send it to you today so you can start working on the promo. Lo que se ve no se pregunta. And then I said, you leave that for the very end, and then the question is Juan Gabriel gay, whatever. We have the two promos. So I sent him the promo. And I just remember it was 2:00 in the morning and he was ready. He was waiting for me. And we flew back and then we edited the show, and it was going to air that Thursday. It was Tuesday. We came back Wednesday. It was going to air that Thursday. We finished editing, and then we get a call an hour before show. This is when you have Plan B and Plan A, whatever. The legal department comes back to us and tells us literally, we were on the air. We were ready. No, we were about an hour to go on there. The legal had already approved pretty much. They had taken a lot of things out that I wanted. But there was one part, he was having a problem with his manager, that there was a lawsuit. And they called and it goes, his lawyer is saying he cannot, his lawyer, Juan Gabriel, is saying that you cannot put that because we could get in trouble. So I remember where I had it in my head. And I tell Ricky Ramos, who was the editor at the time, and I call in, I go, in segment 3, we have this soundbite where he says something along the lines of this and this and this and this. Cue it up. Go looking while I drive. I was 20 minutes away from work.
Wow.
While I drive. I got there literally 5 to the hour. I run in, little ramp, run in, slide, get there. We start editing back and forth. But it was like, it wasn't as easy as digital. That's why I say nowadays everything is so much easier. Edit, and we literally rolled the show was on, and I said, if anything, I will roll it live, which you can't do that nowadays.
Yeah.
I will roll the tape live.
Because this was back when we were still on tape.
And we still have master control in the building.
Right.
Now the master control is not
No,
there.
it's,
I put the tape in, and my hand was shaking. And master
Late.
control, we're in commercial break, literally. He says, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I pressed because we had a little pad. I pressed, bump in. I threw up. I looked for the garbage can, it was right there, and I threw
my
up.
gosh.
Never had that happen to me in my life. And we made it. And the segment rolled live.
But
That
we
one
never,
segment.
that question never
That
got on
question
the end?
never got on. No, the making, yes, that was at the end, but this was something on the legal side.
Oh.
So you always have to have, when you're doing a live show, The
Plan
whole
B.
long story is to tell you you have to have plan A, plan B, plan C. And I always had my doubt about that question in the, you have that gut instinct. Um, I would always say it's a little witch inside me. I had that little witch inside me, and I've always kind of predicted when something bad was going to happen, when it wasn't going good or something. I always had that anxiety inside me that I knew something was going to happen. And so I was ready for that.
But it aired.
It
made it.
aired. Thankfully, it aired, but and for taped is you just have to be prepared for you always have to be in any production, whether it's live or not. But you have to be able to visualize a show, and you have to be consistent in production. You have to be consistent, and you have to have the most important thing is an incredible team. You have to build a team around you. You're only as good as the team that's around you.
Which now it leads me to a question. When you have a new project or an idea you're working on, do you first work on the idea, then talent, budget? Do you work it all together? And when it comes to, for example,
I do budget last.
huh?
I do budget last.
But now that you are kind of like in business on your own as well, that sometimes you get pitched by a client to come up with an idea.
I'm thinking first talent.
You first talent. So you don't ask do you ask the client, do you have a budget in mind, or do you budget it all, give it to the client, then work your way?
And then pray that they say yes.
And then pray they say yes, or you get a budget. Hey, this is how much money I have to do, work yourself
I haven't
backwards.
had that. Now with the new project that I'm working on now, they pitched what they wanted to do, and so I'm basically going to be coordinating a tour, right? And so I start asking, and they tell me, and we need you to prepare a budget. Tell me what you want to make and the budget that'll take to do this, to get this done. And so there I asked the 20 questions. I need to know this, and this, so that I know my parameters in preparing the budget. But I have never up to now, because I've always worked within a company, when I'm being asked to work on a budget, I'm working for the company. I remember Raul de Molina once told me, why are you so cheap, Maria? Why you think the money belongs to you? You're
Spend
not,
it.
You can't. You need to spend the money to do nice productions. And I go, Raul, I spend money. The thing is, I need to save money. It's not my money, but it's our money and the show's money. And if we want to do projects later on, if we
Wasted all the money.
waste it all at the beginning, there goes the budget to do
You
something
still
else.
have a certain amount. It's
Well,
not
the show won't
Yeah.
last if your bosses realize this show is not cost effective. At the end of the day, it needs to be cost effective. The
Bullshit
sales
walks-
have to be more than the cost
Bullshit
to produce a
walks,
show.
money talks, and we're in the business to make money. And by the way, when we did NBL, my whole thing was working with sales to try to get as much integration as possible without it looking
like a
Right.
commercial.
Like you-
like
trying
a
to sell,
commercial.
right.
And I think we did a good job in making it very organic. At that time, I worked with Nick Valls and his team, an amazing team that he had. And we worked like a team. And we didn't, one of the things that I see nowadays is that everybody is an island and everybody works in their little silos. And if let's say, I don't want to mention names, but show A is doing something, they get jealous that show B is doing this and what,
Yes.
and I go, and when I was there, I had the privilege to work in a time where we didn't have that experience. We all worked as a team
And we will promote each other.
and we promote each other. And if
All the
someone
time.
was going to drop the ball, we swooped to make sure
get
that
the
that
ball.
ball didn't drop. If the programming said, I need to do a show because people are going to do something, our competitors are going to do something, and he would make me come up with the show from 1 minute to the next to kind of
Counter the program.
counter the program and do something different. And that's how Bodas de Impacto came along.
I remember that.
And I got told on a Super Bowl Sunday about if we could do something for Valentine's Day, which Super Bowl was that day was
it's usually
was
the first,
January,
first of February.
First week of February.
My
First
birthday
Sunday
was the
of February.
second. I go, you just screwed my Super Bowl, my birthday.
Valentine's.
And I produced a Boda de Impacto for Valentine's that was going to go against something that the competitor had, and we beat them. We blew them out of the water. luckily, it was different times. Now is a different, but we protected each other. So to me, what the changes that are going on now is that we don't work as a team. We work as silos. We work for a company. We should be proud of that company, and we should not badmouth it, but we should all say, this is not working here. Let's do this. Let's, can we help you with this? When I was working in Univision at the end now, I kept saying, I would call up the funny thing is, I would call up the executive producers and they would do whatever I asked them. I would say, do you think we could do this? Do you think you can? Sure, sure. But the producer was there who was not from the past generation. They would say, are you kidding? I'm not going to help you. Why am I going to help you? You're competing against our show. And I would always say, they're not competing against your show. They're competing against the competitive network. Not we have to. We have to start building our ratings up. So you want them to succeed so that your ratings
if
is
your 4
successful.
o'clock show doesn't do well, the 5 o'clock is not going to do
then
the 6 o'clock, and that's something that they don't get.
And it's unfortunate because it's been like that for a while, and so it creates that inbreeding. And then, when I come back to work, all the producers say, oh my God, things have changed and this and that. And I go, yeah, everything is always going to change, we think of things nostalgically as being better. There were things that were wrong as well.
Of course.
Tampoco can you put a thumb to the sun, how el dedo contra el sol. You can't have a blind eye to that, but for all its faults, it worked pretty good. Excuse me. Let me get some tea here.
Yeah, there you
go. It worked, and we were the most successful network
for a long time.
For a very long time.
There was not even close.
Do you think that, and let's address the elephant in the room to a certain point. Do you think it's because it's survival of the fittest now? Because if your show does better than my show, my show may be out because so many people are losing their jobs. So at the end of the day, they're fighting for their own jobs.
And by the way, this was always very typical of the Anglo market, that you either had to be successful in the first 5 weeks or your show was canceled. That was not in television. You stayed with it. You stayed with it. I will tell you, Primer Impacto against Ocurrió Así, the first 2 months, we did not beat them. We were neck and neck. Sometimes they would win, sometimes we would. But it was the first time that we were neck and neck. Before that, it was losing. And it was just a sign of the times. Things were changing. And then I would say 3 or 4 months into it, then it started winning. And then after a World Cup or an Olympics or something, it was an Olympics, that Ocurrió Así changed their time slot to an 8 o'clock. They were lost. They lost the little audience, and they never got it back. And it was a time, we're talking about years back when TV had a big audience and we didn't have all the streaming platforms. 90s. Our rating was 1.5 in Primer Impacto, and Ocurrió Así, and then Al Rojo Vivo was 300. And now, what is it now? 300s? And then the other show, no, Primer Impacto and Gordo, 200, 300, but I mean, we've lost an audience, and so has the Anglo market. It's not just.
It's just the audience.
And by the way, Telemundo too. Telemundo is, and I always say, people say Telemundo is doing so much better. No, Telemundo is not doing so much better. The thing is that Univision is doing so much worse. Univision had all to lose. Telemundo had all to gain.
Yeah.
And so when they lost and Telemundo just burst up a little bit, that's where.
Yeah, it was very unbalanced.
It's not rocket
for a long
science. It's not being a rocket scientist, and I'm not the smartest person in the world. And I learned many years into my career when I would see all these executives talk about things, and it's because they really know, and this and that, and I would do what they would say, and then at the end, I realized they knew jack shit, and the one that really knew were the people in the trenches that were seeing the ratings every day, that was doing it. If there's something that I know is a Spanish audience, a Hispanic audience, I know them. I know because I am, even though I'm American, but I was raised as a Cuban girl and Cuban traditions, and through the years I got to understand the Mexican, the Puerto Rican, the Colombian, because luckily I had the privilege to work with so many people and see so many different things in
Do you
programming.
watch broadcast television nowadays?
Yes, more than anybody in my house. My husband watches YouTube. My son, I don't even know what the hell he watches. My son,
TikTok. He watches TikToks.
no, he watches a lot. Yeah, probably TikTok streaming. Yeah,
Instagram, yeah.
Instagram. Like that's what.
That's what
And
today's
he
generation.
has this 80-inch TV in his room. I have 70, 80-inch TVs in every room in my house. Every room in my house. Because I need to, I have a guest house. Which is a small guest house. I have it in the room and in the living room. I have every room except my laundry room, which now I'm putting a TV because I'm in the laundry room a lot now lately. And I said, I don't have a TV here. And I put my laptop and I start watching because I can't be without a TV. I need to constantly hear.
Noise.
So do you
Noise.
consume more of content on your phone or on all the 5 TVs that you have in your house?
Well, my TV is always on. There's
But-
always one TV
Both
on.
news or just generic-
Everything.
everything.
Everything. From game shows, from realities, from like now I've been hooked on Survivor because and I never liked Survivor, but I had a friend of mine here from Miami who made it into Survivor. And she landed top 3. And she's really funny. She's really cute. And I gave her an internship with one of my podcasts
Oh, wow.
years ago. And so she's now she's becoming an influencer in her own right, and she does all these things on social, and she includes my son, and they're constantly shooting
Stories,
video
yeah.
and doing stories. She did a commercial for Applebee. I got to show you the commercial where my son, and they throw my son a French fry or whatever, and he catches it. And he does this, like my son
But a
is an
full-blown
actual
commercial, like a phone.
It's like no,
But
it's
that's the content nowadays.
it's the content.
all-
It's organic. She goes, guys, we're gonna watch Survivor, and Applebee is giving us all this food or whatever, and it's a promo for Applebee's,
Yeah.
and I think they paid her
Yeah.
good money
Yeah.
for that. They paid her for that. My husband tells my son, and what did they pay you? And
A
I looked at
French
him, and I looked
You
at
got a
my
free
husband.
sale.
I said, first of all, the money is not what TV was.
Yeah.
2, he got food. And for my son, any place that gives him food, it's like
It's a win-win.
It's a win-win. And so she tells us a thing, and she invited 5 or 6 of her friends, well, her brothers and whatever, and they did the commercial, and I shared it, and that's what he consumes.
But you consume, obviously.
He plays games on his TV.
But you like watching, obviously, you told me you scroll all day long.
I'm scrolling.
Right.
I looked. It gives you a thing now that tells
How
you how
many hours
hours.
a day? Yeah, it's
Screen-
pretty
screen
scary.
time.
I don't want to tell you how many hours
Yeah.
I'm in. It's scary.
But you're doing research.
Technically, yes.
Yeah. So with
technically, yes.
your background in storytelling and putting together all
Mine
the
said
shows.
9 hours
A day?
a day.
Yeah, I had like 8
Wow.
something.
You're
So you
Well,
beat me.
sometimes it's 8. No, sometimes it's 8. Sometimes it's 9.
slow day.
A slow day is if I've been sick, and even when I'm sick, I
You're
have the
sick is
TV on.
worse. Because you got more time.
No, but if I
your
get
brain,
sinus
yeah.
cold, so I can't even open my eyes. I can't see. But you just dropped it.
That's okay.
I got nervous.
Yeah. But 8.5 hours. But the thing is, I'm watching TV and I'm watching some. I'm cooking and I'm looking
Well,
at
la
my
receta.
La
When you're-
receta. So I'm on.
Right, but you that you know good content, you know good storytelling, what do you think makes you stay hooked on a video longer than 3 seconds? Since you know
If it catches me in the first 5 seconds.
What is it that is it the music? Is it the headline? Is it the story? What makes
To
what
me,
makes a good headline for you to stay longer than 3 seconds? Since you
have-
have a
You have to tell me something and grab me without telling me the whole story. You have to tell me something, and by the way, if you tease me and you don't give me,
get
What you
pissed.
wanted?
I get really pissed because
You just wasted a minute of my life.
yes, and the thing is, when I've produced shows, when I see that they want to sell it more than what it is, no, don't
No,
do
I
that.
hate
Don't
that.
do that because I don't like it when it's done to me. And you turn off people little by little because they're always bullshitting.
Yeah.
Don't turn off. I watch TMZ. Like I'll see TMZ. There's this show called The Nerve on streaming, which the woman is. I mean, she's talking all about the JFK series or whatever. I call it the Seriani in Anglo market. I I don't like Seriani so much because I think Seriani, nothing against him, everybody has to make a money, do what,
Yeah,
but it's
he's
not the
teasing things that are
content.
not real.
And by the way, I was father for his content many years ago, and luckily that stopped. But the reality is, you don't need to be mean spirited and to do something. You can say, talk factual. This is it. This is, when we did the Selena murder or whatever. We did all these things, and the father would get mad at us, and Maria Celeste wrote the book, and the father would be pissed or whatever. And I'd call, and I'd speak to Quintanilla, and he'd yell at me, and I go, Mr. Quintanilla, we live in a free society. Everybody's entitled to write a book. You're entitled to make money from your daughter's music career, whatever. Maria Celeste is entitled to write a book. We're not living in Cuba. We have rights to do things. But I faced up to him. I told him the truth. And when you tell people the truth and you face up and you're not backstabbing people, that's what I cannot. And that's probably why I've had so many, not problems, but why I've had issues in my career. I've had issues because I'm straightforward. I tell people, I don't like that. I don't like this. It's not good. I had this reporter once tell me, you never tell me that something is good and good because you always have to give me good quality good. By the way, this is something my father told me. When I was little, he would tell me, you always have to be good. Now, when you do something really good, then I'll tell you that was good.
I expect you to be good. If not, you wouldn't be working here.
I remember my first job in television was at Channel 7. And someone said, it was one of the bosses, they're like, oh, you only point out when we do something bad. And the guy turned around and said, and he's still in the business, he said, if you want a pat on the back, go work at McDonald's. And it's like, it stuck with me. I still remember
I had the
that,
Cuban version of that.
Yeah, exactly.
And I gave my Cuban American version to my staff. This is un muchacho argentino who's right now on social media, and that's another story. But he would always come to me and go, dude, man, don't you have a grandmother to say you're good? Why do I have to always tell you you're good? I mean, I don't need to say that. When you're in this show,
You're supposed to be
you
good.
have to
should be good.
You're the top. You're the cream of the crop. You have to be the best. And I would tell that to my camera. I've had cameramen galore left and right. And then, they would get pissed off at me. When I would say, they say, Mom, they would call me Mom because I would scold them a lot, especially the cameraman. Mom, I need to make more money. Well, I can't give you more money. What do you want me to do? Pay you out of my pocket? I can't give you more money. No, because this. And I go, dude, then find another job. Mom, don't tell me those things. And I'm like, I am very forward and very direct. And I like when people tell me their opinion, the truth. You can tell me, I disagree with you. Okay, why do you disagree with me? Just give me a good answer why you disagree with me. Don't just say, because I don't like what you did. I had one guy one time, he was my mentor. And I told him years afterwards, I did something I was very proud of with Mauricio Selig, who is a pain in my ass to work with.
Yes.
I love him to death. He's a good person. Good person. But he was a pain in the ass to work with. 3-2-1, 3-2-1. It was like, always like,
Oh my God.
Yes.
and I was the only one, the only time he was ever nominated was with this series that I showed my mentor. And he goes, es una mierda. That's a piece of shit. I looked at him. By the way, I would never tell someone their work was a piece of shit because it took time and effort to do it. Whether it wasn't good or not, you don't say it was a piece of shit. You don't demoralize a person that way. Es una mierda. And I go, why? Porque no está bien, porque no luce bien, porque no luce bien. And I go, you're not giving me an answer.
Give me feedback.
Yeah, give me
feedback.
Give me
Why
a
is
concrete answer. You shouldn't be editing like this. You shouldn't do a dissolve here. You can't put this soundbite here and then have the same soundbite on this face. Which, by the way, all those rules that I had,
Went
they've
out the
gone to
window.
shit.
Yeah.
And now they do
Jump cuts
everything.
are great.
Jump cuts are the
great.
best thing.
Crossing the axis, that doesn't exist. What's an
Plus,
axis?
exactly. I do. I jump sometimes, and I go, Mom, that's the way we do things. And I go,
No.
shut up. But still, I'm gonna try to keep it as nice
Proper.
as possible. But don't tell me something's a piece of shit. And I told him years later, and he goes, yeah, no, you're right. And that, by the way, that story didn't win. It was nominated. So to me, I said, I proved him wrong. and I prove myself right. I want you to prove me wrong. Why did I do something that's not right? I don't, to this day, I'm 63 years old, and I can tell you, I still have a lot to learn. I want to take a course in AI and understand a little bit more AI. I'm taking a course in Excel because I don't know how to.
Excel?
Excel?
I
Now
never.
you tell ChatGPT.
Just tell ChatGPT, make
hey,
me a
create this.
spreadsheet.
Really?
Yeah.
Yes, we'll tell you
See,
later.
that's why I want AI.
Yes.
I want to
AI.
take a course in AI.
Yeah.
And so I want to be able to, I mean, I know how to do budgets, but I do it my old fashioned way. And then after that, I had business managers that always would do it for me. And then I said, give me the template. And then I just put in the numbers. But, at the end of the day, I have so much more to learn still. And I have more to teach as well. And I tell people, you have to engage your audience, and if it's not interesting to you, if you're just doing it because you like no, you have to be engaged yourself. You have to be. I can watch something right now, and I've been in the business 42 years, and I can tell you, I still get surprised at things, and I still get amazed at things. Like I watched, my old boss told me, my former boss, not my old boss, my former boss told me, you need to watch Mr. Beast. You need to watch this reality show on Netflix, Mr. Beast. And it didn't. I watched it and I was like, oh, wow, what a concept.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Now I gotta watch.
And it's
What-
all YouTube. It's all social media. It's
what
insane.
a concept. And like that, and the same thing happened to me with Survivor. It's the same thing. I watch Exatlong, but no, these people miles away from Exatlong.
Well, I mean, they have a lot more budget.
No,
I mean,
yes.
that makes a difference too.
But they have the storytelling.
True.
And now what you see, unfortunately, in Telemundo, and I can't speak so much for Univision because I haven't really seen their. I saw one reality in Univision. It was very similar to La Casa. Different. It was different, but it's all about who's going to make the show and who's going to say something nasty about someone. It's not about strategic planning.
And it's fake. A lot of it, I feel like it's fake. They know the cameras are running.
Yeah, they know they're acting for the camera.
They're acting, and
They're
they're not
acting for
How
going
the
to invent
scripted
stories.
is reality show?
Yeah.
For people to know, like, is it like every single thing that happens is kind of planned, or
All realities have some script. There are scripts, but they're not scripted. Okay, so, and I'm going to ask my friend from Survivor. They would be put into scenarios. They create scenarios, but they're not given scripts.
okay?
No.
Right.
The scripts are the hosts, but they're given scenarios, and they have to live with that scenario. And I mean, she's told me a lot of things, really through my son, because I'll ask him, and then he tells her, she tells him, and he tells me,
Without disclosing things that you're not supposed to.
yeah, no, but like. No, because she said it. She said it in social media, and I see also in social media. They'll ask, "Oh, do you stay with the same raggedy clothes?" Well, if it gets really dirty, they'll give you
Another raggedy clothes.
you have another set, and they
A backup.
dirty it up a little bit,
Yeah, for
and they give it to you,
continuity.
so that because some people dicen que se les despellejaba el calzoncillo o lo que sea.
So that's orinaron.
No, se cagaron. No, they would. She said that they would actually go to the bathroom in the water. And I go, and then you go into that water? And she goes, no, because that's one side of the beach, which we wouldn't go, yeah, but that, there are currents. And I goes, yeah, but that's where you had to go. At night, they don't go into the water. They would do it in the trees. So there are things that are real. Now, I did Enamorando, which is a form of reality, and there was certain things that were kind of staged, like the dates. But and that's where I didn't like it. I said, why don't we tell them to take with their camera? We'll have a producer there with them, and with their phones. They record with their phones, and it'll make it more organic. So these are things that I see from social media that I probably wouldn't have come up with if I hadn't seen it, but I see it, and I incorporate it. And like I said, I'm 63 years old. I'm thinking a little bit like a young person is thinking, and trying to do things different that's not staged, cuadrado, perfect lighting type of thing.
What do brands or shows sometimes get wrong that you notice? Hey, in order to develop for that story to have been a good hit,
Like for
they get
content,
wrong
like
for
commercials.
What
Like
are
what
three
could you
thing-
apply?
For commercials?
Yeah,
No,
just like
anything.
branded content. When people are trying to get their brand in front of viewers, like
Yeah.
through social media content.
They do it too in your face, and it needs to be organic. Like, and it needs to be organic in a way that we know you're sponsored, right? Okay, it's sponsored. This segment is sponsored, whatever you want to say that. You don't need to put that in any nowadays. But you can have the box there of granola or whatever, and you're having your breakfast, but you don't need to be pitching the product. In Nuestra Belleza Latina, we created challenges, and we would bring in the executive of Colgate to come and pitch their, and I got that. You know where I got that from? The Apprentice. Right? The Apprentice used to do that, and they said, "Let's do this." We know that there's going to be brands that want to come in here, so let's make the pitch organic to the show.
Yeah.
And that's so try to be creative in how you make it organic. So you can have the box there, and that's old school, and it'll be there, and you forget about that. Just like in reality, they forget the cameras are rolling. When they get pissed, and I've forgotten it sometimes. I'm there watching and I go, "Oh my God, they're
They're
when
gonna
I've
hit each
done
other.
and I said, I got to edit that out because they forgot that they were on national television. You know what I'm saying? Because they forget when they get into a fight, they forget that everybody's watching them, or when they say something nasty, like this one guy said to this girl in Enamorándonos, well, what do you think about my dress? And no, she came out with this dress, and I go, that's how you come to see me in that dress?
Oh wow.
Like the guy, I think it was half gay or something, because I think he was more interested in how she looked, her outfit. And you don't know if they have the money, whatever, what the situation is. They dress themselves. They did everything themselves. And I when we went to the break, I called the guy and I go, never insult a person like that if you don't want to get creamed on social media. I mean, if you want to keep your mental health sane, you better not do shit like that, because that's going to kill you. That's going to kill you. And the thing is, these kids nowadays, they live on social media, and what they say, it's like
Cancel.
they get canceled. I don't give a shit what they say about me or don't say about me. I really don't, but I use it to my benefit. If you're stuck on what they're saying about you, you're in bad shape. And to me, as long as I tell things the way it's correct without insulting, if they insult me back, like now with political things, I'll say, listen, you have to be careful because of this. And look, I don't necessarily agree that way. Oh, you're this and you're that,
The labels.
they start attacking. And I say, listen, you're entitled to your opinion. We
Not the
agree to
facts.
disagree.
It's
But
ultra
do not
sensitive.
insult me or anyone around me because I feel this way, because I have not insulted you. And that's the way I feel about business in general. Don't insult, guide, help, be direct. Don't color it. Don't
beat around the
don't
bush.
sugarcoat it.
All right, now we're gonna ask you some questions. The
Okay.
first thing that pops into your head, quick, don't think about it too much. Instinct. All right. Creativity is better early morning or late night?
Early morning.
Go with your gut or data driven.
Gut.
Fast launch or perfect launch? Probably both in your field.
In my field, it's both, but I like perfect launch. But I've had to do fast launch.
Start a new project or fix something broken.
It's easier to start a new project.
Okay.
It's harder to fix a broken. And I've done both.
Yeah.
Short form or long form?
Short form,
Creative instinct or research.
research.
Script or improvise?
Oh my God, these are. I would say script will come out cleaner, but improvise is good.
You've done both.
I've done both.
Yeah.
Okay.
Enamorándonos was both. Was improvised, a lot of it. No scripts. They didn't like scripts.
Okay. Watch a movie or watch a series.
God, you gave me. To me, is a dilemma. I'm a
Do both.
bipolar. I only watched movies before. Now I'm getting into series but then I binge. So it's almost the same thing, right?
And you have your phone next to you on top of that.
Exactly. But I'm saying it since I binge, but I don't watch series that are more than 6 episodes.
Yeah, me either. My
I don't
ADD,
like-
I can't.
And they have to be like 45 minutes, you know. And then
Your
I
attention
binge
span.
it. And then I binge it. I watch the whole thing. I've started watching a series at 10 o'clock at night and finish at 4 o'clock in the morning
Wow.
because I have to watch it.
You have to finish.
I have to finish. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well,
Hey, it's been a very, very interesting.
yes.
Thank you so much. I mean, you gave us a lot of insight, a lot of information. We
Things you
love it.
probably never knew of me.
No,
Yes.
I know. No, and I thought I knew, but so.
And even the stuff we talked before that we definitely can't.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
The outtakes.
The outtakes.
bloopers.
Exactly.
But-
Thing.
And one more thing, just thought of it. So, what's next for this storyteller?
Well, I want to keep on telling stories. I want to be inspired to tell stories. And right now, it's just looking and trying to see what's out there. I want to be able to, mind you, I won't do something that if I don't feel comfortable doing it or I don't feel like it's me. Like I could never do a business show. Never do a business show because it is the most boring when they talk. I don't even talk to my stockbroker, my financial advisor. Every time it comes time to the year,
Is money going up? Yes. Okay.
that's
That's,
it. I don't
I
wanna
tell
let
him,
it- yeah.
do we really have to meet? Yes, we really have to meet. Okay, I force my husband to meet. He doesn't want to meet with them. And my guy tells me, my financial person tells me, you're the only person that doesn't ever want to meet with me. And I go, because I don't want to know. I just want to know if it goes
it's
down.
working. Yeah. Or
If
it's
it's,
not
if it's going down, you need to tell me. That you need to tell me. But if we're status quo,
you're
everything's
good.
working, I'm fine. I'm fine. And I'll tell you if I want to do something different. But he calls me to see if anything has changed. So I'll tell him, okay, now I'm working. No, now I'm not working. Now I'm thinking about doing this. Now I'm not doing this. You know, so that's I don't like financial. That's the only I think I've done everything. I've done sports. I've done realities. I've done entertainment.
You've done news.
I've done musicals. I even did a version. We did Que Noche, which was Making Dreams Come True, which was to me was one of my favorite shows because we got to fulfill people's. And it wasn't a dream of any. It could be just to
simple.
reunions. It was great. To me, that was like the most. And you want to do things. You want to accomplish things in life that's fulfilling.
especially like even us, like when you're older, before you do things by necessity, now you want to do things that fulfill you.
Yeah, I did it before for necessity, like you said, but I always tried to incorporate being fulfilled that we did something good. We did a good deed. Nuestra Belleza Latina, we showed girls, we empowered them. Before empowerment wasn't a word, before it even was, or
Out there.
or DEI, before it was DEI. I don't care about that. I care about talent. If you're talented and we can do something good and help people develop and grow to be successful. That's where I'm at now. So maybe I teach, who knows?
Awesome.
I
Maybe.
think
With
you have a
that,
lot- with
I
that,
think you'd be a great teacher.
you'll be a
That-
great teacher.
Thank
Cheers.
you.
Thanks
Cheers
again.
again. There we go.
I love that
Until
mug.
the next
Next.
podcast.
Yeah.
See you guys later in another episode of
Storytellers Cafecito.
Cafecito Break.